Hey, welcome to a new video. While building a solar park in Almendralejo, Spain, construction workers made an unexpected archaeological discovery. They stumbled upon the remains of settlements from the Copper Age, dating back around 5,000 years. The project began in November 2021, but soon traces from the Chalcolithic period began to emerge. The energy company Acciona Energia, which was overseeing the project, immediately brought in archaeologists to investigate the site. And with great success, the researchers uncovered a massive fort measuring almost 43,000 square feet, or 13,000 square meters, perched on a hill known as Cortijo Lobato. The fort featured impressive stone and clay walls, 3 deep moats over 6 feet 5 inches, or 2 meters wide, and a 2 feet 3 inches, or 70 centimeter wide entrance. It was inhabited for roughly 400 years, before falling victim to enemy attacks. Despite strong defenses, including 3 walls and 25 towers, evidence showed that a devastating fire marked the settlement's end. Carbon dating of animal remains found in the ash layers suggests the fire occurred around 2450 BC. The site then remained abandoned for nearly 2,700 years, only seeing activity again during the late Roman period.
Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video.
In 2015, a remarkable and rather scandalous story came out of Israel. During the construction of a new residential neighborhood in Ashkelon, contractors discovered an 1,800-year-old Roman sarcophagus. But instead of reporting it, as is legally required for archaeological finds, the workers made a shocking decision. They tried to secretly excavate and hide it. Using a tractor, they ripped the heavy stone coffin out of the ground, potentially damaging it in the process. They then concealed the sarcophagus behind wooden and metal panels, perhaps intending to sell it later in secret, or simply to avoid construction delays. The sarcophagus is a stunning example of Roman craftsmanship, adorned with carvings of cupids, bullheads, Medusa, floral wreaths, and likely the man buried inside. Archaeologists believe it was made for a wealthy Roman family. What do you think? In 2016, a mansion in Miami Beach, once owned by the infamous Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar, was demolished. And sure enough, hidden among the rubble was a sealed safe. Escobar had bought the property in March 1980 for about $762,500. The house was known for its secret rooms and hidden compartments, where he stashed parts of his massive fortune earned through cocaine trafficking via the Medellin cartel. The safe was discovered by the property's current owner, Christian de Berdoir, founder of the Chicken Kitchen restaurant chain. What made the find even more intriguing was that no one knew what was inside the safe. It was taken to a secure location to be opened later in the presence of a film crew documenting Escobar's life. The villa was far more than a vacation home. It was a storage site for drugs and money, and a symbol of Escobar's power at the height of his criminal empire. How often do construction workers have to go home because a giant snake shows up on site? Even once is too many. But in Malaysia, it happened more than once. In 2016, at a construction site in Paya Terubong on the island of Penang, a massive reticulated python was found. It may have broken the record for the longest snake ever captured, estimated to be around 26 feet or 8 meters long and weighing 550 pounds or 250 kilograms. This species is already known as the longest snake in the world and is native to South and Southeast Asia. Reticulated pythons can open their jaws wide enough to swallow a human, and that wasn't the only incident. In 2021, 2 more giant pythons were found at a construction site in Kampung Gong Nangka. One weighed 220 pounds or 100 kilograms, and the other 250. Emergency workers had to struggle to pull the snakes from the mud and lift them onto a truck. Meanwhile, in Brazil in 2016, construction workers had the shock of their lives during work on the Belo Monte Dam in Pará. After a controlled explosion, they discovered a gigantic anaconda in a cave, estimated to weigh 880 pounds or 400 kilograms, about 33 feet or 10 meters long and 3 feet or 1 meter wide. In 2003, a spectacular discovery was made beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, better known as the Temple of Quetzalcoatl in Teotihuacan, Mexico. After heavy rainfall, a crack appeared in the ground near the temple. This led archaeologist Sergio Gomez and his team to a hidden tunnel system. The tunnel lies about 46 feet or 14 meters underground, stretches roughly 330 feet or 100 meters, and ends in multiple chambers. A vertical shaft measuring 16 by 16 feet or 5 by 5 meters allowed researchers to access it. Evidence suggests the tunnel was deliberately sealed off around 1800 years ago. Inside, mysterious figurines were found. some decorated with green stone objects and iron ore mirrors. They likely represent ancestor gods or creation figures. Archaeologists also found necklaces made of human teeth, likely used in rituals. Perhaps most astonishingly, pools of liquid mercury were discovered, extremely rare in Mesoamerican rituals. It may have symbolized underground rivers or lakes. In total, over 100,000 artifacts were recovered, including jade, obsidian, shells, and other valuable materials. The temple is notorious for human sacrifice. Remains of more than 200 people have been found beneath it, likely sacrificed during ceremonies honoring the gods or ruling elite. This tunnel was excavated with hand tools and dynamite over a span of 38 years by William Burrow H. Schmidt, a gold prospector and miner. The tunnel stretches approximately half a mile, and it was originally built to transport ore from Schmidt's mines to the smaller in Mojave. Schmidt began digging in 1900 to avoid a dangerous mountain ridge. The tunnel is about 6 feet high and 10 feet wide, all built with a pickaxe, shovel, hammer, dynamite, and sheer determination. Pretty incredible, isn't it? Sewers are not the most pleasant places to find something. One day, some workers installing pipes in Indiana, USA discovered bones of a mastodon, dated to 20,000 years ago. They found a joint, a vertebra, some teeth, a partial tusk, and much more. According to the scientists, the mastodon was about 10 foot 10 inches, or 2.7 meters long, and weighed more than 11,000 pounds, or 5,000 kilograms. In the year 2020, Australia faced a series of challenges that tested the resilience of its population. From devastating bushfires to a global pandemic, the country had already endured much. But it didn't stop there. Australia was hit by a mouse plague, with millions of mice running around parts of the eastern states. These rodents not only damaged crops, but also invaded homes. For instance, Guy Roth, who works on a research farm near the town of Nerarby in New South Wales, described how mice had completely taken over the property, with about 2 mice per 10 square feet at the peak of the plague. This amounted to approximately 20 million mice, more than the population of most major cities. Guy and his family fought against the mice daily, catching and removing about 100 of them from their house and offices. The mice not only caused damage to the cotton crops, but also ate stored grain in silos. One of the most disturbing aspects of the mouse plague was the smell of dead rodents permeating homes and farms. While the impact on human health was generally not severe, at least one case of a rare mouse-borne disease was reported. Deep in a dry, forgotten corner of our planet in Oregon lies a gigantic crack hidden in the earth that stretches for almost 2 miles. This ancient volcanic fissure is not just a small crack. In some places, it's as deep as 69 feet. Imagine, that's almost as tall as a 7-foot building. About 1,000 years ago, when a nearby volcano erupted, the earth was shaken so violently that this enormous crack formed. In most cases, Mother Nature would fill such a fissure with earth and stones through erosion. But this crack lies in such a dry area that it's remained almost unchanged since that time. An interesting fact is that there's also a trail running right through this historic gorge. Hikers can walk along the bottom of the crack and enjoy a temperature that's 20 degrees cooler than on the surface. It's like stepping into a secret cool world away from the blazing sun. The locals refer to this natural wonder as the crack. If you want to explore this place yourself, you can reach it from Christmas Valley in 2 different ways. Depending on which signs and landmarks you follow, it's about an 8-mile drive along the gigantic fissure. IceCube is a remarkable scientific facility located near the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, measuring 0.25 cubic miles or 1 cubic kilometer in size, entirely constructed from Arctic ice. Under the ice surface at a depth of about 8,200 feet or 2,500 meters, IceCube consists of 86 strings, equipped to detect neutrinos. The observatory's capabilities are further enhanced by 2 additional components: Ice Top, an array on the surface, and Deep Core, a denser subdetector. These additions allow it to serve as a versatile facility, capable of studying a wide range of phenomena. IceCube has the distinction of being the world's first gigaton neutrino detector. Its primary goal is to observe neutrinos emitted by the most violent cosmic sources, scattered throughout the universe. Neutrinos, nearly massless and without electric charge, traverse vast distances from their sources, without any significant loss of energy or deviation caused by magnetic fields. The completion of 7 Australian summers of construction took place on December 18, 2010, when the last of IceCube's 86 strings was deployed in the Antarctic ice. After a decade, it finally reached completion, marking a significant milestone in the field of astrophysics research. It'll surprise you, but to find gold in a sewer is of course very strange. This happened somewhere in Switzerland, and when news was released that nearly $1.8 million worth of gold had been found in a sewer system, everyone was stunned. Researchers revealed that about 93 pounds or 42 kilograms of gold were flushed down the sewer every year. So if you want to find gold, you have an idea where to look.
The Austrian man never thought he would one day find real treasures in his backyard. The man started digging one day and put some plants in the ground, and suddenly he stumbled upon hundreds of ancient jewelry. He couldn't believe his eyes. He found several rings, bracelets, silver plates, and more things that had been buried there for hundreds of years. When he reported on the find, it turned out that the treasures were even more than 650 years old.
For 7 years, a father-son duo scoured all over a farmer's farm in Cumbria, England. One day, proof that the perseverance pays off was brought by a surprise. In the dirt was lying a Roman helmet that upon investigation was believed to have been last used by the Romans in sporting events. The helmet went up for sale, expecting to raise 300 pounds. But the duo eventually managed to sell the helmet for an incredible 2 million pounds. However, the men say that the money didn't change them, and the only thing the father would have spent his money on was a house for his daughters. What would you do if you were suddenly $1 million richer? Let me know in the comments. The Suchi Tunnels are an extensive network of tunnels located in the Suchi district in Vietnam. These tunnels played a crucial role during the Vietnam War as a strategic stronghold for the Viet Cong, the communist guerrilla forces fighting against the American and South Vietnamese troops. The tunnels served as hiding spots, as well as communication routes, hospitals, food and weapon storage, and even living quarters for the North Vietnamese fighters. The tunnel system is an impressive feat of engineering, with a total length of nearly 155 miles, of which 75 miles have been preserved and are open to the public. The tunnels allowed for stealthy movement, surprise attacks, and evasion of enemy forces. They also served as gathering places and storage facilities, playing a significant role in the outcome of the war. A potato farmer named Erkin Turbov stumbled upon a giant warrior statue while plowing his field in Kyrgyzstan. This nearly 10-foot-high stone statue was found near the village of Akbulun in the Sinkhole region. On October 15, 2022, Erkin came across what he initially thought was a large stone. Determined to remove the obstacle, he began digging, only to reveal a remarkable find. It turned out to be a carved stone statue used by the inhabitants of Central Asia in the first millennium to commemorate the dead. These statues were especially common among the nomadic Turks who ruled the land now known as Kyrgyzstan. The statue, described by Erkin as a great historical find, depicts a warrior wearing a helmet and armor. One hand holds a short sword, while the other is folded across the warrior's chest. Upon closer inspection, a historian noted special inscriptions on the head, a pendant around the neck, and the folded hand, suggesting that the person commemorated held an important title. Interestingly, this newly discovered statue is not the first of its kind in the region. Several similar statues have been found along the shores of Lake Sinkhole, indicating that this burial practice was widespread. What you see here is the breathtaking Silfra Fissure in Iceland, nestled in the heart of Thingvellir National Park. This isn't just any diving spot, it's the place where you can swim between two continents. Yeah, you heard me right. The Silfra Fissure lies exactly where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates slowly drift apart, at about 1 inch per year. The water in Silfra is incredibly clear, with visibility of over 330 feet, making it a popular destination for divers and snorkelers. The fissure itself was formed by an earthquake in 1789. With sections like Silfra Hall and Silfra Cathedral, it offers an underwater world you can't find anywhere else. Baori is an extraordinary stepwell, built over a millennium ago, in the village of Abaneri located in India. It's known as one of the largest and most fascinating stepwells in the world, famous for its architectural beauty. It was constructed by King Chanda in the 9th century. Stepwells, also known as Baori, hold a special place in Indian architecture and culture. Historically, they served multiple purposes, primarily acting as a reliable water source in arid regions. But stepwells like Baori were not solely utilitarian. They also served as social gathering places and locations for religious ceremonies. Women played a significant role at the stepwells, responsible for fetching water and leading prayers and offerings to the goddess of the well in hopes of her divine blessings. It features an impressive array of 3,500 narrow steps, meticulously arranged in perfect symmetry, while descending to an astonishing depth of 65 feet or 20 meters. With its 13 stories, it has a distinction of being both the largest and deepest stepwell in India. Mastodons were animals that belonged to the elephants and became extinct about 10,000 years ago. It's suggested that they even lived with humans. In 2012, 2 boys found bones in their backyard while playing somewhere in the American state of Michigan. They saw something sticking out of the ground and thought it was a stone at first. Later, however, it became clear that it was not a stone, but that they were several bones that came from a mastodon, an elephant species that lived during the last ice age. It's not uncommon that from time to time, bones are found in the area, because a few years earlier, a complete fossil skeleton of a mastodon was found, which can now be seen in the Natural History Museum in Michigan. These incredible finds give researchers a lot of new information about how these animals used to live. This is another story from Switzerland where something was discovered in the sewer system. A person was walking around outside at night when he heard an eerie sound coming from the bottom of the sewer. Listen. Who knows? Maybe this sewer is a place where all the evil creatures meet. You can leave your theories in the comments as to what you think the sound is.
Can you imagine a hidden villa under your house? Luke Irwin and his wife had just bought a house in England, and they decided to transform their barn into a ping pong room. As the workers were working in their garden, at one point they stumbled upon something bizarre. They had just started drilling when they discovered a blue and white mosaic tile. It eventually turned out that the house was built on the largest Roman villa ever found in England. How incredible, isn't it?
Throughout the years, various fossils are found, but when you find the fossils of a giant armadillo that went extinct 10,000 years ago, it's pretty special. They were no ordinary armadillos, as they were about 5 feet or 1.5 meters long. It was the first time 4 of these species were found in the same place. In fact, they were all facing the same direction. This led to the theory that the group led by a male was trying to move the female and the rest of their young to safety. In recent years, the Euphrates River has dried up, revealing an ancient tunnel leading to underground chambers that are still intact. This tunnel was once thought to exist only in myths. The Euphrates Tunnel is a legendary tunnel said to have been built beneath the Euphrates to connect the 2 halves of the city of Babylon in Mesopotamia. According to a popular legend in Iraq, the tunnel was said to lead to a mysterious world inhabited only by angels. This myth is based on a prophecy attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, who predicted that the Euphrates would dry up and a mountain of gold would rise from its riverbed. Archaeologists believe that the tunnel was built by diverting the river and hollowing out a tunnel that connected the palaces on both sides of the river. The tunnel was likely used by pedestrians and horse-drawn vehicles and was estimated to be 12 feet high and almost 15 feet wide. In 1953, a terrifying incident occurred when a man's father shot and brought home a large creature in a swamp. This video shows one of the preserved body parts, a hand, which was frozen and taken out of the freezer for examination. Upon closer inspection, the hand displays remarkable features, including giant nails that resemble those of a humanoid. The person presenting the video is the chairman of the Bigfoot Committee, and he believes that Bigfoots have an extraterrestrial origin. To support his belief, he demonstrates that when the hand and a shovel come into contact, they stick together, suggesting that the hand has magnetic properties. This leads him to speculate that the creature's body might exhibit magnetic characteristics. He further tests his hypothesis by attempting the same experiment with a knife, which also sticks to the palm. However, he keeps all his findings far from his home and firmly believes that the government should not be involved in this matter. The discovery of a giant sea dragon fossil in August 2021 was pure coincidence. Joe Davis was doing some work near a dried-up reservoir when he saw something that looked like tubes sticking out of the ground. But when he looked closer, he found that these tubes were actually vertebrae that most likely belonged to a huge creature. And indeed, experts revealed that they were the remains of a 10-meter-long sea dragon. This dinosaur, scientifically called ichthyosaur, swam in our oceans about 180 million years ago. Ichthyosaurs are marine reptiles that resemble dolphins with their long snouts. Several fossils of the extinct dinosaur have been excavated before, but this was by far the most complete specimen they'd ever discovered. Here we have the gigantic East African Rift, a geological wonder stretching for almost 2,000 miles. This impressive rift is constantly in motion and grows annually at a steady rate of about 1 inch. However, this slow process of tectonic activity has the potential for profound long-term consequences, including the possible splitting of the African continent and the formation of an entirely new ocean. It's a fascinating example of how the Earth constantly evolves and changes. The history of the East African Rift began 22 million years ago, when tectonic forces began working to separate this part of Africa from the rest of the continent. The first signs of this immense rift became clear in 2005 in the Ethiopian desert, a moment that brought wonder to the scientific community. In 2018, influenced by heavy rainfall, a new striking crack emerged in Kenya, emphasizing the ongoing dynamic of this area. This event reminded us that the East African Rift is far from inactive. and the forces that changed the continent are still actively at work. The East African Rift continues to intrigue scientists, geologists, and nature enthusiasts, offering a glimpse into the fascinating geological processes that shape and reshape the Earth. It's a symbol of the ongoing evolution of our planet and the complex forces that determine its form and structure. Discovered by experts in 1994, the Heavenly Pit holds the distinction of being the world's deepest sinkhole. It's located in Fengji District within the municipality of Chongqing, China. The colossal geological wonder spans approximately 1,762 feet, or 537 meters in diameter, and descends to an astonishing depth of 1,677 to 2,172 feet, or 511 to 662 meters into the Earth. The Heavenly Pit is characterized by its nearly vertical walls and has an immense volume of about 42 cubic miles, or 120,000 million cubic meters. Located on top of the Defeng Cave, it owes its formation to the powerful underground river that carved its way through the region. The underground river stretches approximately 5.3 miles, or 8.5 kilometers from the underground Tanjing Gorge, before emerging into daylight at the cliff of the Mekong River. At this point, the underground water system forms a magnificent 151-foot or 46-meter waterfall. In the depths of the Heavenly Pit, a rare ecosystem has developed, supported by 1,285 registered plant species. Furthermore, it provides a habitat for elusive animal species such as the spotted leopard, of which fewer than 10,000 are estimated to exist worldwide. After you hear this story, you might be afraid to sit on your own toilet. Just kidding. But it was creepy when it was reported that a huge tiger snake was found in the sewers of Melbourne, Australia. For your information, tiger snakes are deadly, and the fact that he was roaming the sewers scared many people. Of course, he won't just find his way into anyone's home, but some people were extremely concerned, while others found it quite funny.
This time, unusual things were found from the Ice Age during the installation of a swimming pool in the backyard. When the construction work was halfway through, diggers found a 14,000-year-old surprise. In fact, there were a few bones under the ground, and when the experts ran tests, they found that the bones were not from humans, but may come from a horse or some other ancient mammal.
This next story is very bizarre. A ball of twisted metal came from Earth, was launched into space, and then swung its way back to the ground to land on a farm. James Sturton was riding his bike when he noticed a detail that didn't fit the usual landscape of his cattle farm in Queensland, Australia. Experts say the 44-pound or 20-kilogram metal ball was likely part of a rocket that launched a US solar satellite into space more than a year ago. Parts of the satellite were expected to land in Indonesia and not in Australia, leaving a bit of a mystery. Dulce Base is a subject of a theory claiming there is an underground facility beneath Archuleta Mesa on the Colorado-New Mexico border, near the town of Dulce. This base allegedly consists of a 7-story complex housing human-animal hybrids, human-alien hybrids, and advanced technology. It's believed that this base is connected to an underground network of tunnels extending to other locations, such as Los Alamos and Area 51. Rumors about the existence of Dulce Base date back to the 1930s. One of the key figures in these stories is Gabe Valdez, a former New Mexico police officer who documented Tim Anderson, a former police officer in Dulce, who had claimed to see UFOs in the late 1990s. Philip Schneider, a former specialist with high security clearance, added even more stories, including that Dulce was the site of a violent war between humans and aliens. He claimed to have helped build a secret base in Dulce in 1979 and witnessed a battle with underground aliens, in which 60 people died. We all know that Egyptian culture is rich and very old, and the pyramids are the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world preserved to this day. But it seems that Egypt surprises us every time. In 2018, a 4,000-year-old Sphinx was found underground by workers who were building a road in Egypt. Their road began between the ancient temples of Karnak and Luxor. But right after the workers noticed a lion body and a human head, they stopped because archaeologists needed to analyze the discovery. It turns out that this dates back to 2500 BC, when the pharaoh Khafre ruled Egypt. The scientists also confirm that the find bears many similarities to the Great Sphinx of Giza, which stands 20 meters high near the Great Pyramids. In January 2021, an image of a crying farmer from Bundelkhand, northern India drew attention. A rumor about a flying saucer crashing on a farm quickly spread through Chhatarpur, causing people to flock to see the alleged alien. However, the farmer's distress was not due to the alien, but to the destruction of his standing crops. In the arid region of Bundelkhand, having a field with standing crops is rare. Nathu, the farmer in question, lives in the village of Karakasar, about 43 miles from the district headquarters of Chhatarpur and 280 miles from Bhopal. On New Year's Day, he and his fellow villagers saw a shiny object in the sky, which descended for a crash landing. Within minutes, speculation about a UFO turned into stories about aliens, leading to frantic calls to the police. The commotion caused by the rumor not only disrupted his farm, but also captivated the curiosity of surrounding communities. In the small ancient town of Tonnerre, France, there's a mysterious spring that is famous for being seemingly bottomless. It's baffled many experts as to where the abundant water comes from. From 1974 to 1996, 2 divers went on an adventure to solve this mystery. Unfortunately, this cost them their lives, leaving the world to wonder even more about what lies at the bottom of the spring. The mystery is still unsolved. Over time, we can say that this mystery has fueled many beliefs. Some say that Fosse Dionne is a gateway to another world, while others believe that a snake king lives in it. Despite these rumors, the Fosse Dionne has a vibrant history. During the time of the Romans, it was used as a source of drinking water. When the Celts came to Tonnerre, they considered the spring sacred. Only when the French settled there did it become a public place to wash clothes. The Japan Trench, located in the northwest of the Pacific Ocean, is a deep trench that extends to a depth of 34,625 feet. Surrounded by Japan to the west, northwest, and north, it borders the Kuril Trench to the northeast, the Northwest Pacific Basin to the east, and the Philippine Basin to the southwest. This location is known for its deep chasms and is one of the deepest parts of the ocean. This trench contains complex geological structures formed by the movement of tectonic plates. It's also a place where the Pacific Plate subducts beneath the North American Plate, leading to a significant geological activity, including earthquakes and the formation of deep rifts or chasms in the oceanic crust. This reminds us that our planet's constantly in motion, and we still have much to learn about the secrets that it holds. Devil's Sinkhole is a national natural landmark and is adorned by the presence of one of the largest colonies of bats in Texas. This stunning location witnesses the emergence of approximately 3 million Mexican free-tailed bats. The sinkhole itself is a remarkable geological formation, featuring a shaft that is 49 feet or 15 meters wide, and plunges 141 feet or 43 meters down to the cave below. The cave has a diameter of 318 feet or 97 meters, and it reaches an impressive depth of 351 to 394 feet, or 107 to 120 meters. To preserve and protect the fragile natural wonder, access to the caves is restricted. There's evidence that the site was used by campers from the Middle Archaic period between 2500 and 4000 BCE. The sinkhole is located just north of Rock Springs in Edmonds County, near Hackberry Creek. It's also part of an extensive karst system of underground caves within the porous Edwards Plateau. Its formation can be attributed to the collapsing of an underground dissolution cavity. A Ferrari is for many people an iconic car, and if you want something like this, you have to work hard for it. Or you can just find one in your backyard. This happened in February 1978, when 2 boys were digging in the mud in their backyard and suddenly found a large metal surface. When they dug further, they found a valuable car from 1974. A Ferrari Dino 264 GTS, to be specific. These are worth over $100,000 nowadays. The authorities were informed and dug up the sports car. The car was checked and it turned out to have been stolen years ago. Probably the crooks had buried the car to pick it up later, but this hadn't happened. Unfortunately, the boys weren't allowed to keep the car, but I hope they got something for it. What is the least romantic job in the world? Sewer work in Mexico. These guys dive deep into the sewers, and it's pretty disgusting. Even though they all wear special clothes and equipment, you can only imagine how hard it is to get this job done. We assume that it's not a job of your dreams, right?
How would you feel if you found World War II bombs in your backyard? You'd probably freak out for a while, especially when you found out there were not 1, not 2, but 101 of them. The man was changing his septic tank when he made the discovery. They were found in Hanaria in the Solomon Islands, and they had just been hidden there since World War II. Thank God they had never exploded and were safely removed by experts.
You hear about king rats and assume they're a royal family of rodents, but the reality is much more gruesome. King rats, like this one found in a flooded Russian watermelon field, are a pair of rats that mysteriously tangle with their tails. The more they try to go on different directions, the more complicated the knot becomes. According to local farmers, it's said to be a bad omen, believed to herald plagues and famines. The first mention of rat kings dates back to 1564. Their appearance is associated with the Black Death. It's rumored that a series of underground tunnels were built by North Korea beneath the dematerialized zone, which separates North Korea and South Korea. The first tunnel was discovered in 1974, south of the DMZ near the city of Pahu. This tunnel was about 0.7 miles long, 6.5 feet wide, and 6.5 feet high, and it was discovered by a South Korean soldier who suspected underground activities. A year later, another tunnel was discovered that could move approximately 30,000 soldiers per hour and was located about 8 miles north of Churwon, close to the DMZ. The third tunnel was discovered in 1978, about 2.5 miles south of the DMZ near the city of Pahu. This was the most strategically located tunnel, as it was only 32 miles from Seoul, the capital of South Korea. The tunnels were built with reinforced concrete and large enough to quickly transport troops. The goal was to enable North Korean forces to launch a surprise attack on South Korea, bypassing the heavy fortified DMZ. Although 4 tunnels have officially been discovered, there is speculation that more tunnels exist that have not been found. North Korea, however, has always denied the existence of these tunnels.
The Roman era was a period that began to expand from the 6th century BC and grew into an empire of over 120 million people. Some miners who were working in a Siberian coal mine found huge shipwrecks. According to the analysis of scientists, the shipwrecks were buried about 1300 years ago. The largest ship found there is an old Roman warship that is almost 15 meters long with a flat bottom. The researchers claim that the ship could carry a crew of 35 people, and it also looks like the ship had a long existence. As for the other 2 ships, which are smaller, they look exactly like the ships used by the Slavs to cross the Danube and attack the Roman border. The ships were found deep in the riverbed, buried under meters of mud. So it was a big surprise for the miners to discover something like this.
While working in the field, Barry Sowchuk and his eldest son made an intriguing discovery of an unusual piece of debris on their grain farm near Ituna, Canada. Initially, they thought it was trash, but they soon realized it was something much more interesting. The family has been farming in eastern Saskatchewan for 5 generations and is used to finding debris. But this find was unique. They transported the 99-pound object back home and began a search for answers. People speculated that it could be a part of a satellite or something that re-entered the atmosphere due to its charred appearance. The object displayed characteristics of a carbon fiber composite, aluminum honeycomb, and composite carbon at the rear. The strange thing is that similar cases have been observed before, including a bizarre find from the 1960s. What do you think this object actually is? And is it alarming that something similar was found in the 1960s?
One day, a group of workers were drilling holes at a construction site in Bolu, Turkey, when out of nowhere, a giant brown bear emerged from the pit where they had just been drilling. The bear was clearly irritated and upset, because it was probably sleeping comfortably. It seems that its presence in the pit was an unfortunate accident. The bear was desperate for freedom as it tried to close the hole and make it wider. The workers thought that the animal might be stuck, and decided to drill further so that he could get free. But the bear tried to grab the metal of the excavator, feeling that he had to defend himself. Although it remains a mystery how the bear got stuck in an underwater ground hole, some people think that it may have fallen into a hole nearby. Just imagine if you suddenly saw a bear coming out of the ground. Pretty scary, don't you think?
This is an astonishing discovery in Tater Hills, Arizona, of a gigantic earth crack in the desert, stretching for almost 2 miles. The enormous fissure is impressive not only for its size, but also for its cause. Excessive groundwater extraction in the area creates voids that eventually lead to these cracks. Since 1977, as much as 11 miles of cracks have formed in the area, and they continue to steadily grow. During heavy rainfall, these cracks can even widen and deepen further. These geological phenomena continue to amaze us year after year with their ongoing expansion and evolution.
Hidden within the breathtaking landscapes of the northern shores of the Dead Sea lies an otherworldly-looking sinkhole, only accessible by kayak or boat. This place has experienced economic collapse over the past decade. Large swaths of land have been deemed unstable, leading to subsequent blockades of access. Farms, beaches, parking lots, and businesses have succumbed to the relentless grip of these sinkholes. In recent years, the problem has reached the doorstep of Kibbutz and Gaidi, which faces the threat of becoming the first community in the country to fall victim to a sinkhole. The underlying cause of this escalating crisis can be traced to the receding water level of the Dead Sea, which is retreating at a staggering rate of over 3 feet or 1 meter per year. As the groundwater level recedes from the shoreline, an ancient salt layer ranging from 16 to 196 feet, or 5 to 60 meters below the surface, is exposed to the ongoing flow of rainwater not yet saturated with salt. The gradual dissolution of this salt layer renders the surface increasingly unstable, ultimately leading to the inevitable collapse. Some geologists estimate that the Dead Sea region is already plagued by around 7,000 sinkholes, a number expected to double in the coming years.
The next discovery is pretty creepy. A Reddit user posted a photo of a creepy doll in 2015 that he would have found when he was putting some plants in the ground. After he pulled the puppet out of the ground, he realized it wasn't just any puppet. It had chains around its neck, which reminded him a bit of a voodoo puppet. A voodoo doll is often used as a talisman, and it's said that these kinds of dolls are meant to communicate with the mind of a person. They're also used for meditation and rituals, and that it usually has to do with witchcraft. So he asked Reddit for help, because he had no idea how this ended up in his backyard, or who used to own it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find out what he did with the doll, but let's hope no crazy things happen to him. A dog from a Turkish city has found a new hobby. He stops and stares into the sewer at certain times of every day. Of course, this situation made people wonder why the dog does this, since it happens on one of the city's busiest streets. Some people online hypothesize that the dog might be seeing something unusual, but still no one has unraveled this mystery. Do you have any idea? Have you ever found something surprising at a construction site? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.